Recap. Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 981. Chapter Translator, Henyi Translations. Editor, Henyi Translations. When the heavens roared and gathered their wrath, Ling Han stood beneath the firmament like a lone sword facing the storm, calmly welcoming the descent of the heavenly tribulation. To an ordinary cultivator, this calamity was a gate of life and death. But to Ling Han, whose flesh and bones had already been tempered to rival level 2 godly metal, it could have been endured with unmoving stillness. He could have stood there, allowing the lightning to rage and shatter itself upon him, his body unyielding like an ancient divine artifact. Yet Ling Han did not choose the easy path. He understood a deeper truth. If he merely endured, then his body would remain as it was. Strong, yes, but stagnant. And stagnation was something he would never accept. Thus, with resolute will, he chose the crueler road. With a thought, he shattered his own godly bones. His flesh split, his blood surged, and his entire body disintegrated under his own command, exposing every fragment of his being to the merciless fury of the heavenly tribulation. Lightning crashed down like divine punishment, battering every shard of bone, every drop of blood, every strand of muscle. Only through destruction could rebirth be forged. Only through annihilation could true strength arise. Then, through the profound art of the indestructible heaven's scroll, he would reconstruct himself, reassembling flesh, blood, and bone into a form even more terrifying than before. A body not merely strong, but transcendent. Still, even for Ling Han, a shadow flickered within his heart. The last time he had endured such torment had been just over half a year ago. And now, he faced it once more. Even he could not help but feel a chill creep through his mind. This was not pain that could be described lightly. It was agony that clawed at the soul itself. A torment that could make one wish for death. Yet even death was denied. If you wish to stand above all your peers, if you wish to become invincible beneath the heavens, then you must endure what others cannot, came the cold, indifferent voice of the small tower within his mind. Otherwise, what right do you have to surpass them? Its tone carried that familiar, condescending sharpness, as though lecturing him once again. Ling Han knew this truth well. But knowing and enduring were two entirely different matters. Empty words could not compare to the searing agony ripping through his very existence. Was he not even allowed to curse a little? Before his thoughts could settle, the heavens struck. Kwang! A bolt of lightning tore through the sky like a dragon of pure destruction, slamming into him without mercy. The tribulation did not care for his pain, his will, or his defiance. It existed for one purpose alone, to obliterate. And so, Ling Han's shattered remains endured the baptism of thunder. In the distance, the violent commotion did not go unnoticed. Within Scarlet Heaven Academy, cultivators paused, their gazes turning toward the source of the disturbance. Yet such scenes were not rare here. With countless students pursuing the Tao, heavenly tribulations occurred every few days. It was not enough to stir widespread alarm. Only those nearby paid attention. High above, brilliant white lightning danced wildly, illuminating the heavens with blinding radiance. Yet, within that storm, Ling Han's form could no longer be distinguished. His body had already been reduced to a grotesque mass of blood and flesh, unrecognizable, formless. Who could have imagined that this mangled heap was a person? Some observers frowned, shaking their heads. This fellow has no idea what he's doing. To attempt a tribulation without proper preparation, look at him. The tribulation has barely begun, and he's already reduced to this state. He won't last. Such judgments echoed quietly among them, and yet something was wrong. Though the figure below had become nothing more than a bloody ruin, the heavenly tribulation did not cease. Lightning continued to fall relentlessly, one strike after another, which could only mean, he's still alive? Shock flickered across their faces. Half a day passed like a fleeting dream. Then, before their very eyes, something impossible occurred. From that mangled mass of flesh, a body began to reform. Bone reassembled, blood flowed anew, flesh knit itself together. Ling Han stood once more beneath the heavens, whole, complete, and reborn. At that exact moment, the tribulation dispersed, its purpose fulfilled. Without hesitation, Ling Han wrapped himself in a cloak. His figure blurred, vanishing into the distance like a phantom carried by the wind. After all, he was completely naked. How could he possibly remain and face others in such a state? The witnesses were left staring, stunned. Did anyone see his face? No, he disappeared too quickly. This is unbelievable. He was clearly on the verge of death. How could he revive like that? A murmur of speculation spread. Could it be the legendary 9 Deaths reincarnation divine pill? That supreme pill, the one said to grant rebirth even after 9 deaths? If not such a divine medicine, what else could defy the heavens to such an extent? Their voices buzzed with disbelief. Meanwhile, Ling Han had already returned to his newly assigned courtyard. Without delay, he washed away the blood and filth of the tribulation, then dressed himself. Soon after, he retrieved ingredients and began roasting meat. Flames dancing as fragrant aromas filled the air. He had gone months without food or drink. Today, he would indulge. Just as the scent of roasted meat reached its peak, a white blur leapt onto the courtyard wall. Damn brat! Where have you been these past few days? I've been searching everywhere for you. The big white cat appeared, its nose twitching as it locked onto the irresistible aroma. This scent, it was unmistakable. Ling Han couldn't help but laugh. Are you a cat or a dog? Your nose is sharper than any hound. The white cat puffed up, its voice ringing with pride. I am a descendant of the white tiger. With a fierce meow, it lunged at him. Ling Han's eyes flickered with surprise. You can speak? As the cat attacked, Ling Han sensed its aura. It had already reached the mountain river tier. Demonic beasts, upon reaching this level, could assume human form and speak. That this cat could speak was no longer strange. What was strange was that it had yet to transform. I am a descendant of the white tiger. Speaking is nothing unusual. The cat snapped, launching a series of rapid attacks. Ling Han raised a hand casually, parrying each strike with ease. He did not counterattack, merely observing. The cat was indeed formidable. Though it had only just entered the early stage of the low extreme, its battle prowess exceeded 4 stars. An astonishing feat. My bloodline hasn't fully awakened yet. Otherwise, I'd be even stronger, it declared arrogantly, its tone brimming with tsundere pride. Is that so? Ling Han chuckled. With a flick of his hand, he tossed out a fluffy ball of yarn. Meow! Instantly, the cat abandoned its assault, leaping toward the ball with instinctive fervor. Its claws seized it. But in the next moment, it froze. Realization dawned. You brat! You dare mock me? Ling Han laughed lightly. Come, eat. If you're not interested, then forget it. He returned to his seat, no longer concerned with the spar. Having gauged the cat's strength, there was no need to continue. Now he could suppress it with a single finger. The cat approached, still bristling with annoyance. But once it tasted the roasted meat, its expression transformed entirely, eyes gleaming with delight. In mere moments, it declared Ling Han its sworn brother. Having only recently advanced to the mountain river tier, it had just learned to speak, and thus it spoke endlessly, a chatterbox without equal. Ling Han found himself torn between stuffing its mouth or blocking his own ears. For the next 2 days, the white cat ate and drank at his courtyard without restraint. Then, on the 3rd day, a familiar figure arrived. Li Weiwei burst in, her expression fierce. Blockhead, where have you been for the past half-year? Ling Han replied calmly. Cultivating in seclusion. Seclusion? Do you know how embarrassed you've made me? She snapped, breathing heavily with anger. Ling Han smiled faintly. What did I do? Li Weiwei plopped down without ceremony, grabbing food and eating immediately. Tang Feng challenged you. Publicly, but you were nowhere to be found. He declared you a coward, saying you didn't dare accept. She glared at him. I defended you. I said you weren't a coward, that you'd come out soon and accept. Her voice rose. And what happened? You vanished for half a year. Now everyone in the imperial capital is calling you a fraud, a coward, a wimp. She slammed her hand down. I stood up for you, and now I've become a joke. Ling Han burst into laughter. So I've wronged you, have I? There was nothing I could do. I was in seclusion. I knew nothing. Indeed, to avoid disturbance, he had remained within the Black Tower the entire time. No one could possibly find him. Li Weiwei suddenly leaned forward, excitement flashing in her eyes. And there's more! Zhao Lun has already reached consummate level. He's won 20 consecutive battles in the Iron Blood Stadium. People are calling him the ruler of the younger generation. Unmatched, invincible. Her voice brimmed with intensity. Now everyone's wondering when you'll catch up to him and fight. There are even betting pools set up. Ling Han's eyes gleamed. What are the odds? Li Weiwei replied swiftly. 1 to 10 if it happens within a year, 1 to 9 within 2 years. If it takes 10 years, it's 1 to 2, 20 years, 2 to 3, and if it's over 100 years, 10 to 12. She snorted. The longer it takes, the lower the payout. A slow smile spread across Ling Han's face. Want to make some money? The moment those words, make some money, left Ling Han's lips, it was as if a spark had been tossed into dry tinder. Li Weiwei's eyes, bright and lively like twin stars in the night sky, instantly lit up with fierce excitement. For days upon days, Ling Han had secluded himself in cultivation, withdrawing from the world like a hidden dragon coiling beneath deep waters. And with his absence, the lively business of selling precious food ingredients had come to a halt. The spatial spirit tools carried by her and Ji Yun'er, though wondrous, were limited in capacity. The treasures within them could only last for a dozen days at most. Thus, not long after their return, every last piece of those valuable ingredients had been sold off. And ever since then, regret had gnawed at their hearts. Without Ling Han, the source of their wealth had vanished. Even these two proud young women, who had once tasted abundance, now felt the bitter pangs of scarcity. Hunger, both literal and for profit, lingered constantly in their thoughts. So when Ling Han spoke of earning money again, Li Weiwei could hardly contain herself. How are we going to make money? She asked without hesitation, her voice quick and eager, as if afraid the opportunity might slip away if she delayed even a breath. Soon, a grand auction will be held. If I can gather enough wealth, I'll finally make father take me seriously. Her ambition burned clearly in her tone. Ling Han tilted his head slightly, curiosity flickering in his eyes. An auction? Li Weiwei nodded vigorously, her expression brimming with excitement. The imperial capital hosts auctions from time to time, she explained, her voice rising with enthusiasm. But this one, it comes right after the Heavenly Sea Mystery Realm has closed. That means treasures from that realm will appear. It will be far more grand than usual. There will definitely be countless rare and valuable items. She paused for a heartbeat, then suddenly narrowed her eyes, placing her hands on her hips as her delicate face took on a fierce, almost intimidating expression. You still haven't answered me, she pressed. What's the plan to make money? Ling Han burst into laughter, his voice echoing with carefree confidence. The method is simple, he said. Isn't there already a wager circulating about when Zhao Lun and I will fight? The moment those words settled, realization struck Li Weiwei like lightning. She leapt to her feet, clapping her hands in delight. I understand, she exclaimed. We'll place our bets first, and then you go challenge Zhao Lun. But midway through her excitement, she froze. A thought crept into her mind, casting a shadow over her enthusiasm. Wait, what if Zhao Lun simply ignores your challenge? Ling Han smirked, a glint of cunning flashing through his eyes. That, he said slowly, depends on how capable you are, as the daughter of the left minister. His gaze carried a teasing edge. Let's see if you can shift the wager, from when we will fight to when I will issue the challenge. Without her influence, such a change would not be easily accomplished. Li Weiwei immediately nodded, her face lighting up with understanding. I get it, her expression seemed to say, yet only moments later, that confidence faltered. A trace of worry surfaced in her eyes as she hesitated. But, she began cautiously, what if Zhao Lun accepts the challenge and kills you? For a fleeting instant, silence hung in the air. Then, as if dismissing the thought entirely, she waved it off within her own mind. It has nothing to do with me anyway. She thought casually. Whatever happens, happens. And just like that, her concern vanished. Ling Han let out a cold scoff, his expression filled with absolute certainty. Zhao Lun cannot kill me, he declared. And if not for the fact that he has already reached the consummate level, it might even be him who dies at my hands. These were not empty words born of arrogance. Within Ling Han's body flowed power refined to an astonishing degree. His physique had already reached the level of third-grade godly metal. Even if a consummate-level cultivator attacked him, breaking through his defenses would not be instantaneous. And beyond that, he still held a trump card, the crimson ground-locking net. Once ensnared within it, even Zhao Lun's cultivation would be suppressed. Ling Han's thoughts drifted briefly to the past, to the time when members of the Luo clan had intended to use this divine net against the Lava Beast King. They had been confident that with its aid, they could slay that terrifying creature. From that, one conclusion was clear. The net could suppress an opponent's cultivation by an entire minor level. If Zhao Lun were trapped, his strength would fall by 1 level, his movements would be hindered, his freedom restricted, and in that moment of weakness, if Ling Han unleashed the annihilating Dragon Star arrow, a single strike might be enough to end everything. After all, that Lava Beast King, a creature also at the early stage of the consummate level, had nearly been slain by a single arrow, even without being trapped. Yet, reality was never so simple. Could Zhao Lun truly be killed? He was the only son of great General Zhao. Even in a fair duel, if Ling Han were to take Zhao Lun's life, would the general not be consumed by rage? Would he not disregard all laws and descend personally to exact vengeance? In this world, the stronger one became, the less binding the rules. Rules were tools of the strong to restrain the weak. Whether the strong themselves obeyed those rules depended entirely on their mood. Unless Ling Han could retreat into the Black Tower after striking his enemy down, but he was not alone in this world. Behind him stood the great Ling Empire. Ling Han shook his head slowly. Killing Zhao Lun was not an option. But a thorough, humiliating defeat? That was another matter. As long as Zhao Lun was neither killed nor crippled, even great General Zhao would not stoop so low as to intervene personally. Still, a problem remained. Even with the Crimson Ground locking net, could he truly suppress Zhao Lun? The man was a 4-star genius. Even if weakened by a minor level, Zhao Lun's combat strength would still reach the early stage of the consummate level. As for Ling Han himself, he had only just stepped into the early stage of the medium extreme, a full minor level behind. At most, he could unleash battle power exceeding 5 stars. Beyond that, even he could not predict the outcome. It must be remembered, he had ascended the island in the Crimson Lake 3 times, displaying talent that exceeded 4 stars and approached 5. Such potential had already alarmed 2 great majestic empires, driving them to attempt to eliminate him before he could fully mature. If he revealed power of 6 stars, even the heavens might tremble. "What a beautiful dream you're having," Li Weiwei said, shaking her head with a hint of disbelief. "You still don't know, do you?" Her tone turned serious. After Zhao Lun broke through, Her Majesty personally granted him the rank of a 7th-rank military officer. His name has been engraved upon the nation's totem. Her eyes sharpened. He can draw upon the power of the nation itself. His battle strength will increase by at least another star. Ling Han's brows furrowed deeply. If that were the case, then defeating Zhao Lun would become nearly impossible. Unless everything unfolded exactly as he envisioned. Trap Zhao Lun with the Crimson Ground locking net, seize the fleeting opportunity to unleash the annihilating Dragon Star arrow, avoid vital points such as the head and heart, inflict a grievous injury without killing him. There would be only one chance. If he failed, he would have no choice but to admit defeat. Ling Han fell into brief contemplation, then spoke again. "If Zhao Lun and I are to fight," he said, "new bets will inevitably appear." A faint smile curled on his lips. No bookmaker would be foolish enough to wager on who wins or loses. Instead, they will bet on how many moves it takes for Zhao Lun to defeat me and force my surrender. N. Li Weiwei nodded rapidly, her agreement immediate and firm. Otherwise, any bookmaker would lose everything. Ling Han chuckled softly. "Then we will use Zhao Lun to earn a great fortune first," he said calmly, "and afterward, step on him." Li Weiwei froze, staring at him. This man, why was he always so overwhelmingly confident? Did he not understand? He came from a small world. He had no great backing. On what basis did he believe Zhao Lun would not simply kill him? And yet, there was something about that confidence, something strangely captivating. "Enough talk," she said quickly, her thoughts shifting as greed for profit took over. "Hand over your money. I'll go place the bet immediately." Her beautiful face glowed with anticipation. Ling Han did not hesitate. After his journey through the Heavenly Sea Mystery Realm, he had accumulated a considerable amount of wealth, mostly through plundering others. Though he had spent some during his breakthrough to the medium extreme, he still retained a total of 4,000 true origin stones. Without reservation, he handed them all to Li Weiwei. She left at once, moving like a gust of wind. It was only after a full day that she returned. "Everything is settled," she said, satisfaction evident in her voice. "All that remains is for you to issue the challenge." Ling Han nodded. Without delay, he drafted a formal letter of challenge. Then, he walked to the main gates of the Northern Institution, and before the eyes of all who passed, he affixed it there, a challenge, directed at Zhao Lun. The moment it appeared, it was as though the wind itself carried the news. In an instant, it spread across the Northern Institution, the Scarlet Heaven Academy, and throughout the entire imperial capital. Discussion erupted everywhere. The genius who had remained silent for over half a year had returned, and from the very moment of his return, he stirred the heavens with a single bold act, challenging Zhao Lun. But who was Zhao Lun? The only son of great General Zhao, the most outstanding genius of the past 1,000 years, a man widely believed to have the potential to step into the heavenly body tier. Immediately, the entire imperial capital was thrown into speculation. Would Zhao Lun accept, or would he ignore the challenge? Elsewhere, within a quiet courtyard of the Western Institution, a young man in blue robes sat leisurely, a cup of tea in his hand. His demeanor was calm, composed, like a still lake hiding unfathomable depths. A faint smile touched his lips. "Heh, this junior brother is quite interesting," he murmured. "He has just entered the low extreme division and already dares to challenge Zhao Lun." Behind him stood a woman clad in a tight-fitting outfit. Her figure was tall and slender, every curve accentuated by the leather that clung to her form like a second skin. It was a sight enough to stir the hearts of men. Her beauty matched her figure. Wild. Untamed. Her long black hair was braided thickly, cascading down to her hips, further emphasizing the alluring shape of her body. As she noticed the young man's teacup nearing empty, she stepped forward gracefully and refilled it. "Young master," she said, her voice soft yet curious, "do you think Zhao Lun will accept this challenge?" Silence lingered in the courtyard, as if even the wind paused, waiting for the answer. The storm had only just begun.